and we are excited to jump in. Man, now we're landing into Numbers and just a lot of good stuff. A lot of cool, crazy, amazing little truths and some big ones too.
Yeah. Well, I got two thoughts. And like you said, there's just so much in here. One from Leviticus and one from Numbers. In Leviticus, I saw just that cool chapter in 26, Leviticus, going through, if you keep the law, O Israel, I'll bless you. If you disobey the law, I'll curse you.
Right.
And the history of the Israelites is those cursing.
Right.
But what stuck with me was going to Galatians, where it says, Christ became a curse for us.
Right.
And Christ took all that on himself so that we could be blessed in him. I'll save my other thought for later, but what was one thing you saw?
Well, yeah, in 26 too, like it ends with that last section, but if they confess, so that even brings even greater recognition to the gospel. But Numbers, just crazy stories in Numbers and huge lessons for us today. I feel like often I see myself and the culture of today, even in the book of Numbers, and just reading through, like, shocked at just the excuses. Numbers 11, the people complained in the hearing of the Lord about their misfortunes. Like, really? We're going to talk about misfortunes? Like the misfortunes of having God rescue you out of slavery.
Yeah. We're free, and we got food, and we're on our way to this amazing promised land.
Yeah.
Life's tough.
Every day we walk out of our tent, we trip over the food that God has set there to provide. We have so many misfortunes.
Yeah. Oh, but we do the same thing.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
So that was kind of comical to me.
Yeah.
So what's your big gospel revelation?
Yeah. Well, Numbers 13 and 14, I love those two chapters. We just learn a lot about faith and a lot about God, and then also about ourselves and how we respond. But just thinking about faith, as those 12 spies went up to look into the land, and they just realize what God said was true. This is an amazing land. They got these massive grapes that they're carrying between two men, and it's just this beautiful land. But then they respond when they're back to the Israelites. 10 of them are like, it's too hard for us to go up. These guys are in there, and they're huge. They got these fortified cities. And what stood out to me was faith is hindered by fear. Faith is just stopped when we get afraid. And I think what causes fear in us is when we forget about God. Like the nation of Israel, they had seen God overcome the Egyptians, part the Red Sea, provide over and over again. It seems like when this next circumstance came up, they just forgot about it. Yeah. But the response of the other two spies, Joshua and Caleb, is their faith fought through the fear, and they trusted the work and person of God. And just really stood out to me that, faith fights through those circumstances, takes hold of God.
Yeah, I was just laughing because these wimpy guys are complaining, and like Caleb's response is, "We are well able. Let's go do it. Let's just go. Let's go."
Yeah.
So. Yeah,
and we'll get to this way later, but Caleb's spirit, even though he stayed 40 years, wandered after, when he finally does get into the promised land, he's like, I want the hill country. It's like he never lost that spirit. That's really cool.
Yeah, because he had seen that, and there was some property up there that, man, that was looking good.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, good. Mine comes out of chapter 17, or number 17, or 16, I guess. And there's several times where this hint of an intercessor, mediator, rescuer comes. And this time it's not Moses, although Moses is certainly in line with it. And the people are just complaining again and trying to exalt themselves above Aaron and the priesthood. And Korah and his camp is basically sucked into the ground. And the people that's not enough for the people. They keep complaining and they continue to struggle with this. And so God sends a plague among the people, and people are just dropping, falling out. And he tells Aaron to go take the censer and run out into the midst of the people. And it says, the plague had already begun among the people, and he put on the incense and made atonement for the people. And he stood and he stood between the dead and the living, and the plague was stopped. And I just think I think it's so amazing that he uses the word atonement. But then that's exactly what he does. Is God sends a mediator to go and stand between the dead and the living to make atonement for people who are dying from a sin plague. And is that not the cross? Jesus Christ stands between the dead and the living, offering atonement to those who would believe in light of the sin that is plaguing them. And it says, and the plague was stopped. So that's my gospel.
Such a cool picture there. And one thing to add to that is, based off of what we saw from this sermon last Sunday, Aaron was acting, as the wrong type of mediator before in Exodus, but now, he's showing some good qualities. But isn't it amazing that we have a perfect mediator in Jesus Christ that never fails?
Wow. And even through Aaron, that he gives us second chances, even once we've ruined that to such a degree. That's awesome.
For sure.
Good. Well, cool. I think that's what we got for today. Just keep on rolling through some awesome truths, and make sure you're finding your gospel ripple to encourage your faith in the midst of your week.